Hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our JustNoMil. In today's episode, maybe you'll have an accident, pregnancy, Emil freaking out that she can't see grandkids when she wants. Emil gets upset when people say LO looks like me and directs them to say otherwise. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Maybe you'll have an accident, pregnancy. Just need to vent this somewhere where people get it. TW brief mention of traumatic pregnancy loss. Partner and I have always had a difficult relationship with Jane Emil. She wants to be overly involved in his life, even though we moved halfway around the world to avoid her, and also, there's a reason why none of her other sons speak to her anymore. But we tolerated her for the most part. We have a 2-year-old. And since his birth, Jane Emil has traveled to our city twice a year and overstays her welcome. A couple of gems before I get to the main bit. She asked to come meet baby at home after we got home from the hospital the day of his birth, and was somehow 40 minutes later than the agreed time despite staying somewhere that was a 10-minute walk away. Never mind that I was exhausted, in pain and running on no sleep since being up all night in labor, and just wanted to go to bed with my newborn baby. She took a photo of me and baby when he was about 6 months old, then had it on display in her bedroom with me cropped out of all the other photos she could have used. Anyway, on her recent visit, Jane Emil kept saying things like, "If you have another," and even directly asked if we were planning to have another. Mind you, she's been doing this literally since the birth of our first, and I had always responded non-committally, but this time she was talking about moving over for a year because we'll want her help if we have another. Never mind that she was more stressed than helped the first time around. First I said we probably weren't having another, then when she brought it up again, I was so fed up that I straight up told her that we weren't having another. A few weeks later, she was having dinner at ours the night before she flew home, and while she was with my partner outside, she jokingly said, "It's sad you won't have another, but maybe there will be an accident." Like, who wishes an unwanted, unplanned pregnancy on someone just so you can have another grandchild? Not to mention that we had lost our first pregnancy in very traumatic circumstances that involved making a very difficult choice. I feel violated from her saying that. Like, am I crazy that it almost gives our asterisk pay vibes? It gives me, "I'm going to mess with your birth control" vibes. Came here to say this, check your condones, OP. She might have tampered with your birth control pills. My MIL and GMIL have been asking if we'll have another to try for a boy since we did the freaking 10-week blood test and found out number 2 was also a girl. Like, can you be happy with the baby that's still growing instead of already being on me about number 3? Since then, we've actually discussed the possibility of having a third, but straight up told his family we were done so they'd stop bugging us. And it's not like they don't have a grandson. So I really don't understand the big deal. After one such request, I sassily replied that she could carry the next one if she wanted another grandchild so badly, and her response was that if she could, she would, and that just hasn't sat right with me. Like, I'm sure she meant she'd have more children if she could, but the way the conversation went made it sound like she'd carry her own son's baby if she could. Replace all your birth control, whatever kind you're using, immediately. She could have arranged an accident. Emil freaking out that she can't see grandkids when she wants. First time posting here, I figured this would be the place. We have a blended family. He has 3 children, 7, 9, 11, and I have a 13 years old, and my husband gets the kids every 2 weeks. We usually try to go to his mother's, Emil, house every Sunday, or they come to our house. We live about an hour away. Both my partner and I try to include the grandparents in activities, and I have gone out of my way to try to bond with my Emil. The bottom line is that we don't hear from Emil until the Thursday or Friday before his children come over. She always brings just his children treats and candy, dollar store stuff, and wants to make all the plans and do things her way. I've tolerated it until a few weeks ago. I was getting over being sick, and my husband didn't want company at our house or to drive. When we told Emil this, she threw a fit and said she was extremely hurt. She said that it was cruel for her to only get to see the kids once that month. After her outburst, we told her she needed to apologize. We didn't really hear from her until this past weekend. My husband had been having a really busy work week and wanted to chill at home for Father's Day weekend. When we told her on Thursday, when we heard from her, she freaked out again and also compared him to his brother who is a drug addict and has gone no contact with her. We stated again that she was being hurtful and needed to apologize to us before getting to see us and the grandkids. She then sent him an article about grandparent alienation and an email which I'm copying to here, personal information taken out. I told my husband that it's probably healthy for us to take a break from her. To put it nicely, am I wrong? Any advice? Let me know. The letter from MIL. I guess we need to set a few boundaries on my own too. As for having a wonderful well, that's going to be a bit difficult. I will say this entire episode has me rethinking a lot of things. I think maybe entrusting my future care to who is now my only son might not be a best idea. Dad is first and foremost in my plans, as he should be. However, if he precedes me, I thought I could entrust my wishes in you as executor and caregiver. Not sure about that anymore, as there's a level of trust that's needed that I do not feel is there right now, and I'm not sure if it will ever be. Dad seems to think who cares you're dead. I feel without respect in life, how can there be in death? You've given me a lot to think about. You say you love me but seem to have the need to play games with our relationship with the kids, which is a form of elder abuse. You accuse me of manipulation, but in reality, aren't you doing the same thing? I love both my sons, but it's pretty clear that our generation didn't do well as in our parents' generation when it came to teaching respect, as your generation feels they can use children as weapons against their parents, and it's perfectly okay. I don't know, my mom. However, if she experienced what I'm feeling now, I sympathize with her, as it seems this was done to her. I keep my mouth shut about a lot too, husband. And some you may understand, some you may not. I never held you and husband's brother hostage from any of your grandparents. We made sure that we visited them often. You have many happy memories with them. That's what we want for your children. Many times in my discussions with Grammy, she would say, "This too shall pass." Well, I hope it does. However, I feel you're making this into some kind of control issue. If that's the case, then so be it. You're not only hurting us, but your own children. Just some food for thought. Have a great weekend. Happy Father's Day. Love you, Mom. Oh no. What will I ever do if I can't have the stress of being executor of your estate when you die? I mean, it looks like you guys just got out of caregiving duties in the future, so that's probably a win. Not sure why she thought that would be a punishment. If she's removing your husband from being her medical and financial POA, she's doing him a favor. She is indirectly threatening to disinherit him if she doesn't get her way. Interesting. I'd say she deserves a long timeout. Also, only buying some of the kids' treats? That's horrible. When she does it again, take them away from all of the kids and either give them back or throw them in the trash right in front of her. Explain to her that all of the kids are part of your family and you will not allow favoritism. Emile gets upset when people say Elo looks like me and directs them to say otherwise. I've been wondering how we're going to go about addressing this. The other day I saw my husband's old friend while I was outdoors with Emile and Elo. The friend said, "Baby is so precious. Has her mother's face." Mil, no she doesn't. Don't say that. She looks like her father. This was the second time something like this has happened in the past week or so. I'm aware this isn't uncommon MIL behavior. I feel like she's entitled to think my kid exclusively looks like her son, and I really don't care. But what annoys me is they keep trying to make it seem like I'm upset that the baby doesn't look like me when one, that's not true, and two, clearly you're the one who is upset because otherwise, what was that? It's like she's constantly trying to force me to agree that my child doesn't look like me when I don't. DH gave me context that he was never told that he looked like her growing up. Everyone said he looks like his dad. So it seems like a delula projection of her own experience. DH said he plans to address it, but we're actually both at a loss for how to correct the behavior. I'm visiting with in-laws because he didn't have PTO, so he's planning on waiting until I get back so it's not uncomfortable. My sister's MIL is like this. She would always say my niece is definitely daddy's girl because they look so much alike. My niece is basically a clone of my sister. JustNoMil once said she didn't understand where the blonde hair and height came from because they're Italian and all brunette. My sister said, well, Deech didn't make this baby by himself, and she has just as much my family as she does yours. She's not just Italian, she's Swedish and French too. It's pretty obvious which side gave her the slender frame and tall build. Runs in our side, clearly doesn't run in yours, with a sickly sweet smile. Disclaimer. She only said that because JustNoMil would always make comments about how thin we are, and they weren't nice. Think, eat a cheeseburger for goodness sake, type of stuff. When she got mad, sister feigned innocence and said, what? I was just agreeing that it wasn't from your side. No woman in your family is over 5 feet 3 inches and under 170 pounds. It's not offensive, it's just facts. If you don't like it, maybe don't discuss someone else's body unless you're prepared to discuss yours. Oh, also, just FYI, there are plenty of Italians who are blonde. Never heard another cheeseburger comment again, lol. Ahahaha, my MIL did the exact same thing. You know what I did? I photoshopped my brother's baby picture onto a photo of my son. So it looks like my brother is wearing a shirt she is familiar with. She's like, OMG, look at my son's name. He's so cute. I'm going to buy a frame and hang this. I was dying. My husband was like, straight face, that's not son, that's wife's little brother. She was so pissed. She never ever said it again. I think the only way to address it would be to look confused and point out that's a really weird thing to say. Then you can ask her to explain what she meant and just keep telling her that doesn't make any sense and keep asking for clarification. It's okay if she gets uncomfortable because she's counting on you being too polite to call her out. At some point, you can agree to disagree, but continue to look very confused as you change subjects. Do it every time. Not sure if it will change her behavior, but it's worth a shot. As soon as someone says she looks like you, exclaim that's what everybody says. Depending on the mood, you can add, except grandma here. She thinks she looks like my husband. Roll your eyes for special effect. You might consider having your husband say something like this. It's perfectly fine that Elo looks like Opie, and it's not good for anyone, particularly her grandmother, to have a problem with that. You may not see any resemblance, but that's no reason to react as you do when other people comment on it. That has to stop. You aren't in charge of deciding who Elo resembles. Everyone has a right to an opinion. If you don't stop, people will think you're rude and dislike Opie. He should publicly announce in front of his mother how happy he is that the baby looks like you. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.